The level of Republican hate towards blue states is insane. It's insane to the point that they're invading California farms, farm workers picking blueberries, almonds. This is going to have an effect on the entire United States while the Department of Agriculture head is talking about putting people on Medicaid to work in the farms. So what are they going to do next? Come and round up all the people who are on Medicaid and put them in buses and chain them up like a chain gang? I mean, y'all are so out there. Like, America and our tax dollars go towards helping all Americans, keeping us safe, keeping our food prices low. But this is a dictatorship. This is authoritarianism, and this is unacceptable.
What you're seeing behind me right now is happening in California right now, as ICE agents are using tear gas on children. Yes, you heard that correctly. Using tear gas on children and protesters in California, as ICE agents have showed up to start grabbing people as they do without warrants, without due process. And this is where we're at in America. So continue to please share these videos on whatever form you see them in, because everyone needs to see this. And we need to start deciding, are you for this or are you against this? Because history is going to view you a certain way. And more people need to see it, more people need to speak up, and more people need to realize this is not normal. This is America right now.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So once again, we got to talk about the Democrats and liberals boo-hooing and crying about ICE, okay? Because it has now gotten to the point where liberals, the party of atheists and godless people, they are trying to weaponize the Bible. They're trying to weaponize the Bible against Republicans over these ICE raids, right? This is how desperate they've gotten to win back over the American people when it comes to the narrative on illegal immigration.
Give them health care benefits, you treat them like human beings, you create real jobs rather than, we went from one unpaid labor force to another very low paid labor force. And this country has worked that way for centuries. And if we really wanted to stop it, we would go after the employers.
I'm just confused. I don't even understand what you're for, because you talk about following the law, but ICE is enforcing law enacted by Congress. Are you for illegal immigration?
Anyone standing on American soil is allowed to claim asylum. And we call these people illegals, but they're Christian refugees. I have this crazy thing I do with the Bible. I read it. And Jesus is emphatic about saying that we will be judged, nations and individuals, in Matthew 25, by how we... Right? Well, no, but hang on.
We're a nation of laws.
You belong to a party that likes to wave Jesus around like a prop, my friend.
We are not in a theocracy.
Okay, if I may.
We're in a nation
of laws. Are we talking about the Bible or the Constitution or laws enacted by Congress?
I'm talking about a political party that uses the pretense of Christianity to get votes.
But how did you just pivot all the way over to there?
Because the God of the Hebrew Scriptures commands us to welcome the stranger. Christ says we'll be judged by it. Why should I listen to Donald Trump instead of God and Jesus? As long as your party is using Christianity.
Enacted by Congress.
Yes, well, if you're standing on our soil, you're allowed to claim asylum. If you were born here, you are a citizen.
Hold on, guys, Scott. Hold on.
Can I ask a question? Is it a democratic?
Scott, just a second, please.
Among many.
Yes.
Did you have an
issue? How
about
we follow due process?
Did you have an issue with the millions of people that Obama deported, over 50% of which did not get due process? And
what do you mean?
Really? Expedited removal, voluntary return,
expedited removal is in the law.
Millions of people
followed the law.
I believe people had the opportunity to go before a judge and make their case. Actually,
many were turned away.
That is absolutely untrue.
That's another way.
So that makes it okay now.
Operation Street. That's not my point. It's the selective outrage
that
I'm highlighting.
Plenty of outrage.
Guys, hold on one second. Let me let Jill. Hold on.
Obama.
And nobody knows
Karen,
Justice Department.
Karen and Congressman. Guys, hang on one second.
They didn't? California is now a sanctuary city. It used to be.
It's a state, not a city.
That's a good point.
Los Angeles is now a sanctuary city. California didn't have sanctuary cities when Obama was in office, and they cooperated under a program.
How are they making your life worse? How are they hurting you?
That's not my point.
But how are they hurting
Illegal immigration hurts everybody.
Illegal immigration pumps $5 billion a year into our economy.
Hang on a second, John.
Okay, let's
Do they help? Do they
Hold
help
on.
Lincoln Riley? Do they help
John, hang on a second. Scott, hold on a
A
second.
lot
And
more
Jillian.
homegrown folks kill
Jillian.
women.
Hey, Jillian. Hi.
Excuse me, but homegrown Americans
Scott, can
kill
we
at a much
please-
higher rate.
I'd like to put them in jail, too.
Illegal immigration and
Okay,
how
everyone, just stop talking for
immigrants
just a
and
second.
citizens-
Jillian, please stop talking. You all are all talking at the same time. It's impossible to hear or understand. When I say stop talking, please stop talking. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have these godless people trying to now use the Bible against Republicans, right, to justify mass illegal immigration into the country, which includes crime and trafficking children into the country. But again, if you listen to these deranged lunatics, they believe that ICE is actually the traffickers, okay, not the cartels who are trafficking children into the country. Which, again, these people are not asking why are children on the pot farm in the first place? Why are children there? They're not asking that question. Again, instead, they are basically claiming that ICE is the problem. Like, for example, Kyle Kalinske, a deranged lunatic who married a deranged lunatic, right? He says, so now ICE Gestapo thugs are tear gassing children, abducting and human trafficking day laborers in massive raids on farms, using helicopters in full military gear. If you don't see this regime for the corrupt Nazi gangsters they are, you're an effing idiot. So, again, this guy is clearly ignoring the fact that their kids on the farm and not asking the question, the very, 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 very obvious question of why are children on this farm, right? Why do you have child labor being used to grow marijuana, right? To grow pot. Why are you defending that? Because that's what they're doing. They're straight up defending child labor, which, by the way, is ironic because these were the same individuals, liberals, were boohoo whining and crying about Florida modifying their labor laws to encourage teenagers to work more. They were boohoo whining and crying about child slavery and child labor rights, right? This is what they were saying. But for whatever reason, they're supporting illegal immigrant children working on pot farms.
Democratic states are giving free school breakfast and lunch to kids, and Republican states aren't doing that, and they're bringing back child labor, right? There are some areas where they're too similar, and that's the core of the fight within the Democratic Party. We need real opposition to Trump, real opposition to fascism and the robber barons, right? For sure. But they're not the same. They're just not the same. You have one party that's a center-right party, that's the Democrats, and one party that is fucking off the spectrum, fascist, authoritarian, Attila the Hunism. Now we have an update on this. Florida debates lifting some child labor laws to fill jobs vacated by undocumented immigrants. Holy shit. Holy shit. They all made a big stink about, oh, bro, the reason we got to deport the undocumented immigrants is to give better job prospects to the American people who can't get a job because the immigrants are stealing their jobs. And now they're like, bring in the 13-year-olds, please. Bring in the 13-year-olds. And by the way, we could pay the 13-year-olds even less.
America is officially in the pits. Florida is debating whether to lift child labor laws due to a job shortage due to all of the migrants that they have rounded up and shipped out of Florida.
You can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
Let's have a straight talk. You know that Ron DeSantis down there in Florida, along with the Republican legislature, have just about changed the child labor laws down there. They want to allow 14-year-olds to work overnight on school nights. Why? Because they have deported so many immigrants, and the ones that's not deported are hiding. So their workforce is slack.
The state of Florida, which has been solidly under Republican control for 27 years now, is one of the few states that has agreed to absolutely not just cooperate with Donald Trump's mass deportation plans, they've put it on steroids down here in Florida. right? We'll use our own people to start rounding these folks up, and y'all can just come and get them. So we're taking Donald Trump's mass deportations and taking it to the next level. But that creates a big problem down here in Florida that the Republicans, I don't know if they didn't anticipate it or they didn't care about it, but we have a massive labor shortage. We don't have people to go out there and build new houses. We don't have people to go out there and pick the crops. I don't know if y'all realize this, but Florida actually has lots of farmland. We are not the top, but we are one of the top produce producing states here in the U.S., including potatoes, by the way. Very good Florida potatoes. And of course, the citrus crops, all of that. We need, and the hospitality industry, my God, that's our biggest industry. We need these migrants to come in and do these jobs. And it's not that, oh, we don't have Americans willing to do them. It's that we literally don't have enough people to do them. And Republicans are shipping all the workers out. But don't worry, because this week they came up with a plan. Right? Okay, we've kind of shipped all our laborers out. We don't know what to do. Industry's freaking out and threatening to not give us money anymore. How do we get workers? I know. Let's get the friggin' kids.
Yeah. So I want you guys to understand. Liberals were upset, boo-hoo, whined, and cried, foul, over Republicans loosening up some of their laws to allow teenagers who are already working, right? They already got jobs. They're not forcing them to do anything. They're saying, hey, if you want some extra hours, we'll allow you to work some extra hours, right? Again, nothing controversial about that, right? I'm not sure why is it that liberals find teenagers working to be controversial. I mean, I feel like in this country, I don't know, maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago, like it was expected that, you know, especially if you are a young teenage boy, right? By the time you're like, I don't know, 13 years old, that you get a job, right? That you start working, okay? You do what men are supposed to do, okay? Work, okay? Even, again, as a 13-year-old, if you can work, then you work, you know? I don't understand why that is a big deal, right? I don't understand what's controversial about that, right? So again, Florida allowing teenagers to work extra hours. Oh, terrible! Oh my God, right? But you talk about undocumented illegal immigrant children who are not teenagers, by the way, right? We're talking about little kids working on farms. Liberals are upset that ICE is stopping that. That ICE is stopping child slavery on a pot farm. They're upset. They're crying foul over that. Do people understand how deranged these people have become? Where they're supporting child slavery on pot farms. They're now crying foul over ICE saving children from slavery. Children who may have been trafficked into the country by cartels. That's what they're crying over. These people are insane. They're absolutely insane. So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and react to this clip from Fox News in which Tom Homan is going to weigh in on the backlash from Democrats and liberals over ICE saving kids.
Politicians and the rhetoric that clearly seems to be fueling much of this, but you've also got some distortion of the facts. This was a post that California Governor Gavin Newsom put up yesterday. Kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. Trump calls me new scum, but he's the real scum. We later find out there were 10 juveniles in that operation that were 8 of which were unaccompanied minors. What do you say?
I see this every day, and I said from day one, when President Trump became president, that they're going to vilify the men and women of ICE. They'll vilify the men and women of Border Patrol. They did it during the last administration, except this time, the rhetoric's at an all-time high. Every day I get up and I read the media posts at the White House, and 90% of the stories are just fake. They're lies. So, and people say, well, the polls are kind of turning against Donald Trump a little bit on immigration. First of all, I don't believe it. If the polls turn it off, because all the fake news out there, they're lying about what the President Trump is doing. They're lying about what the men and women of ICE are doing. And that kind of turns, you know, the tide against us a little bit. But that's why, you know, members of the administration are out there every day setting the facts straight. The fact is, I read in the paper the other day, the majority of people who arrest are not criminals. Wrong. Look at the data. Go to ICE.gov and look at the data. But we got some media saying, well, it's just a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. They're not really criminal. Oh, they're not convicted. They're just charged. Oh, they're not criminals. No. We're prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats, and that's a fact.
But Tom, strikes me unbelievable that the Democrats are not on board. When you look at this raid, there were 10 juveniles that were illegally brought across the border. You and I covered this under the Biden administration. I was down in Texas. We encountered 8, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds coming across with just a name and an address and a phone number on their necks, the cartel ruthlessly sending them across. And yet now we know that 10 of them, 8 of which were unaccompanied minors working illegally in a marijuana farm, and your agents go in and rescue them essentially, and yet there is violent resistance to that. Does that upset you?
It certainly upsets me, and like I said, you know, the work men and women of ICE are doing is incredible. Look, we're looking for over 300,000 missing children. We've already found 10,000. Have you heard that anywhere? No, the media is simply not covering it. And look, this should be a nonpartisan issue. Arresting public safety threats and national security threats, everybody be all on the same page on that. Rescuing children, I mean, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Everybody should be in lockstep on that, but they're not. The media is lying. The Democrats they don't want President Trump to be successful. I got news for them. We are being successful. Every illegal alien public safety threat we arrest makes this country safer. Every national security threat we take off the street and deport makes us safer. And we're rescuing thousands of children. The lives saved every day by ICE, the lives saved every day by Border Patrol, you know, are in the hundreds. So it's the only thing I can think of, Griff, if they hate President Trump more than they love their community. They hate President Trump more than they want, you know, safe communities. And there's just no other excuse why this is not, why this has become a partisan issue to take public safety threats off the street.
Yeah, I mean, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about when I say that Trump derangement drives these people into very uncomfortable places where they just start defending anything. At this point, again, they are flat out defending child slavery, because that's what this is, right? When you talk about an unaccompanied minor, right? We're not talking about teenagers here, right? We're not talking about young adults. We're talking about children as young as 8 working on marijuana farms, right? And liberals are upset that ICE is cracking down on this operation. They're mad. They're upset because some tear gas got thrown, right? Because people were obstructing ICE. Like, what are they supposed to do? What is ICE supposed to do? If people are obstructing ICE from saving these kids, what is ICE supposed to do? Just stand there. Oh, well, I guess we can't do anything about it. Gotta let the kids work the marijuana farm, right? Grow our weed, okay? Right? Like, these people are silly. They're silly. They got to, like, they're like cartoon characters at this point, right? I don't get it. I don't understand it. There are some things which, like, you know what? Maybe we should just leave this one alone, right? Maybe we shouldn't complain about this one. You know, defending child slavery on a pot farm, probably not something we should be doing because we hate Trump. But again, they hate Trump more than they love this country. They do. That's the reality.
Before I run out of time, Tom, I've got to get your reaction to this Biden-appointed federal judge out in Los Angeles, apparently expected today to issue a temporary restraining order halting your lawful operations. She says, I think it's important for the court not to burden otherwise lawful law enforcement activities. Your reaction there?
Look, people need to understand, ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need the totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, you know, get articulable facts based on their location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed Border Patrol agent walks up to them at for instance, a Home Depot. And they got all these articulable facts, plus the person walks away or runs away. You know, agents are trained. What they need to detain somebody temporarily and question them. It's not probable cause, it's reasonable suspicion. We're trained on that. Every agent, every 6 months, get Fourth Amendment training over and over again. These officers are really good at what they do. And if this judge would make a decision that's against what these officers are trained, what the law is based upon, then they're going to shut down operation. I think that's your end game. They want ICE to stop doing this. But if they base it on the rule of law, they're going to find out Border Patrol and ICE is doing exactly what they're going to do in accordance with law.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is what they want to do. They really just want illegals to stay, right? This is why when confronted on what do you want? What is your end game? What do you actually want? Do you flat out just support illegal immigration? That's what it sounds like. You just want them to stay. Yeah, that is what they want. They want them to stay, right? And they will use any justification to allow them to stay. Okay, again, liberals trying to weaponize the Bible is crazy to me in 2025. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's just obvious. It's obvious what's going on here, right? Make it as easy as possible to come into the country illegally, right? Make it as hard as possible to get rid of them, and then they want to cry foul about that, right? That's what they want to do. Okay, and we're not going for it. And then the operations are going to continue. These judges will be defeated, and the illegals will be deported, and that's it, right? I mean, it is what it is. And again, if Democrats are saying they should be thanking ICE for saving these kids from slavery, okay, instead, no, they are mad that they don't have 8-year-olds growing their weed, right? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.